go. Everything should be all set. Hey everyone, it's Steven from Toastamac, and welcome to the Brainstorming Livestream, where we try to figure out ideas on what kind of content I should be doing for this year, So that way I'm not just making random videos and hope that at least one of them goes viral. So I have a few ideas of my own, and if you're watching this live right now, you can share your ideas. But before I get too deep into that, and to give a couple minutes before, for people to come in and we can all get started, I do want to give an update on the Mediterranean diet. Good news is I worked off all the holiday weight off. Yay! So now it's back towards the progress of getting the weight down to 170. So awesome, fantastic. So the other thing I've been doing alongside the mobility exercises is that I've been adding how do I put it? A protein supplement, if you will. It's called creatine, and what that does is it gives you the proteins that we would otherwise lack in our regular diets and helps strengthen the muscles in the body by making sure there's still water and fluid in those muscles. Because I think that might be part of the reasons why my muscles have been aching and there's some pain here and there because of the fact that there's not enough water flowing through the muscles, So I've been doing that for a week. It's a little too early to tell whether or not the creatine's making a difference, so I'm gonna have to keep at it and keep you updated. So, and then in a couple weeks I'm gonna add the strength training to the mobility training. So this will hopefully, give me more activity, but it will also help with the weight loss a little bit faster, Because, I'm making good progress so far, but I kind of need to pick things up a little bit, I've been making good adjustments with my diet. I've been cutting sugar out significantly, even on the cheat days. So I'm making good progress. I just need to keep at it, So, let's see. How many do we have live right now? Let me check. A couple people, so there we go. All right, so possible ideas for 2024. Honestly, I haven't really thought too much about it because, with a lot of things that happened in 2023. I was just, kind of winging it, and it was all of a sudden oh, now I'm a voice actor. Oh, now I'm doing these baking videos. Oh, now I'm doing, shorts and special live streams, So, I figured, let's try it again, see what happens. But that doesn't mean I should, go into these this schedule of 2024 without having some sort of plan, I've actually had quite a few ideas on, what topics to cover, but I also need to figure out, how am I going to figure out which autism topics are growing or, trending currently, because I feel like that's kind of what I've been lacking lately. While I've been able to do amazing content covering various topics about autism, the issue I'm having is that not many people are watching it, and part of it has to do with, unfortunately, that maybe I'm not covering the right topics or the most relative topics at the moment. So, for example, the two of the highest viewed videos is the Inspiring Autism story on Billy West, and then the other one was how to stop headbanging for an autistic. That has close to 800 views, whereas the majority of the other ones I've done, they struggle to even reach 100. And it's I know they're good topics worth going over, and I know that the numbers are going to build over time. There's more views on, eye contact. There's more views on, specialized interest, and also, how to stop ableism. I know it will grow in time, But the problem I'm having is that they're not, you know, they're not they're not growing at the rate I would want them to be. I want them to grow a little more. But that's not, I'm not saying that's a viewer's fault. I'm not saying it's your fault. That's just me, like, you know, not picking relevant topics to go over, like topics that are like being talked about right now. So I need to find ways to do that. So, hi, Sharon Starkey. Good to see you. I think you should tell your personal story over the years, the ups and downs, what worked and what didn't. People like testimonials. That is like a good idea, and it's like when I first started the YouTube channel, that was kind of like what I was doing for some of the autism topics in the past. Like, I would share my personal experience. However, what I want to do with these autism videos is, you know, something that's visually appealing and something that's like informative to the audience, that gives them answers to questions that they need, you know, so that way they can have a better understanding of the topic. Now, for like what you mentioned, like personal stories and like ups and downs and stuff like that, and testimonials, I feel like that would be better for these live streams right here, because with these live streams, you know, there's no visual effects to worry about, no green screen or research or like, you know, reading off of a script. It's just, you know, me sharing my experience. So I feel like that would be better for like doing these live streams. So that way there's a more personal approach to it. It's not like I'm all dressed up and have all the lights set up just to tell like a personal story of mine. I feel like this would be better in terms of like feeling more personal, if you will. Like we're actually having like a genuine, regular conversation about a topic, rather than me getting dressed up for like a PowerPoint presentation. That is informative and get answers. It shows hope. That is a good point. And it's like, I can see where sometimes I could put in my personal experience into the videos, and maybe that's what I need to be doing more of. I just need to figure out like how I could put my personal input or personal stories into the autism topics, because what I'm worried about is like, I don't want to sound like the kind of person where he introduces a topic and then I don't want to be the kind of person where they introduce a topic and then they go on and on and on and on about themselves, because ultimately you're supposed to be getting something of value in the videos. And I'm worried that if you're constantly hearing me talking about myself, then like, are you really getting the answers that you need or the answers that you want? So that's like one thing. I feel like there has to be some sort of balance between like the information input and then sharing my personal experience. And like a couple of them, like the autistic masking video, and like the headbanging, let's see, and also like the eye contact one, I feel like those ones, like I'm able to put in some personal input without, you know, my personal experience completely taking over the video and whatnot. So I think it's all a matter of finding the right balance. Do you get more people on live stream or videos? Well, the thing is, I get more views on the videos, but here's the thing. With the videos, they can grow and accumulate over time. That's not really too much of a problem, you know, like I know eventually they'll get more views, more attention, like if I go promote more. Like next week I got a networking event to go to, so hopefully that will help. But with the live streams, again, as I mentioned, it's a more personal approach where we could just sit down, have a chat and stuff like that. So like with these live streams, I feel like I could just, we could just talk about whatever without worrying about having to stick to a script too much. So that's kind of like the difference between the live stream and the videos per se. People like hearing stories and gleaming out of it that there is hope, and they get perspective on an autistic person. Yeah, so like I'll think about it, but like maybe I could do that going forward. I just don't know how I'd be able to do that in the format I have right now. Like I could probably experiment with that as the year goes by. Like I don't really have like a set structure yet. So like I could try to see like for starters, again, I need to make sure that it's a topic that people are talking about, so that way I'm not just making random videos that don't go anywhere. So like I'll have to look at what topics are like big at the moment, and like if there is personal input I have on the matter, then I gotta figure out like, okay, do I want to be more informative or do I want to be more personal? Do I want to share my own personal experience, or do I want to stick strictly with the facts? So I'll experiment with it later on. Probably not in the first few videos, unless it's like something I can put an input in. So speaking of which, let's go over like some of the topics that I'd like to go over. A couple of them are topics that God, I'm saying way too many times. A few of the topics that I want to revisit are like autism and anxiety, and then autism and like sleeping issues or insomnia, because I know those two are regular big topics already. Not only that, but like I could add like my own personal input. Like I'm kind of struggling with, getting sleep myself sometimes, and there's actually a couple things I could share. Like sometimes I'd have like a panic attack, or like sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night having to pee and stuff like that. And then anxiety is still stuff I deal with to this day. Like those are like a couple topics I've done a while back that, I haven't really done. I might not have done those topics justice back then. Like I may have been like rambling on too much without really doing too much research, or not enough research in those topics. So maybe I can experiment with, the sleeping topic and the anxiety topic, how I can mix in my personal experience while at the same time giving the audience the information that they want or need, because that's what I'm imagining that people come to this channel in the first place. Like why they look up for autism topics, that they want information, they want answers. But in terms of like personal experience, like I can play around with it. I just don't want the video getting too long. That's the other thing, is that, people aren't really going to sit through a 20-minute video or a 15-minute video unless it's worth their while, unless they're really committed to like the content. The most informative support groups I have run or been in are from learning or hearing stories from autistic individuals and learning how they think, strategize, what they use, etc. Okay. Individuals and learning how they think. Well, I mean, I could try to put some of that to words. Like, I'm still trying to figure out how I think. So, like, and it's like, if I were to do that, like start adding some of my own personal input, the thing is like, how do I go about advertising that? How do I advertise like, like have answers to questions about autism while hearing some personal experience from me. So, like, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm getting frustrated or anything. It's just like, it's a bit to think about, like changing gears, changing directions, and, maybe that's what the channel needs right now to get the growth back up and running again. It's like, I need to find the right balance of like being informative but also personal, Like these live streams, I'd like to be completely personal, but I can't do the same approach with my autism videos. So I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually, like as I'm exploring those topics. But here are some other topics that I did not go over yet, and a couple of them I'm kind of surprised I didn't. One of them is, as recommended by someone from one of the Facebook groups, is the early signs of autism. Like what signs to look for to indicate that the child in question is possibly autistic. Because I go on and on about like, oh, this sign could lead to autism, but it could lead to something else, get an official diagnosis, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I don't think I've really gone through a list of possible signs of autism and what to look out for and what to do when you find those signs. There's also like talking about the difference between actually autistic and autistic traits, because like you probably heard a few times where some people are saying that, oh, aren't we all autistic, or this person seems a little autistic themselves. And like I feel like there's a real distinct difference between like showing behaviors of autism and actually being autistic. I feel like that's a good topic to go over, like, what is the difference between the two? Why is that difference important? Stuff like that. So that's another one. And like, if you want to comment on any of these ideas, let me know. And another one, a couple other ones that I want to go over, and for this one, maybe I can ask for Mom for help, is explaining the process of how to get the autism diagnosis. And I think that's something that my mom would know more so than I would, so maybe I can get her into a video, maybe not, we'll see. But I think if people understand like what to expect in terms of like the autism diagnosis process, and like where to look and how to look for facilities that can help with that, then maybe I could display that information in the video, like, hey, you can go to this site and look through here, or go to that site, look through there, stuff like that. So that way, like, I can get people in the right direction in terms of like, okay, how do I get the autism diagnosis so I can get the services that I need for the child? Speaking of that, informative, but people can Google that information. That's why you should personalize it. Like, I hear you. I definitely hear you. I just need to figure out like what the balance is. Oh, hey, Sam, how's it going? Good luck with convincing people that are self-diagnosing. Yeah, that's going to be interesting too, because like, that's another topic I want to go over in terms of like the difference between like a self-diagnosis and getting an official diagnosis, because like I have my perspective on the matter, and maybe I can share my opinion, but it's not like I can force my opinion on others. It's like I want to give like the difference between self-diagnosis and official diagnosis, and then share my input on the matter. Because like me personally, spoilers, me personally, I would prefer it if you would get the official diagnosis, because with the official diagnosis, you get access to resources. And if you're trying to like go to a school or a facility requesting like accommodations, they're going to be like, okay, where's the paperwork that says you need it? You can't get that paperwork if you're I don't think you can get that paperwork if you're self-diagnosed. But I could be wrong, you know? So, let's see. Autistic traits versus autistic. No, versus actually autistic. Self-diagnosed versus, like, you know, official diagnosis. So those are, like, a few ideas. And, like with Miss Sharon Starkey saying, is that right now my videos are informative. They're for the sake of giving information. But she does have a point where maybe I need to personalize the content a little bit more in terms of, like, you know, sharing my own opinion. The obstacle I'm going to be facing is, like, how do I advertise and promote that I'm sharing my own personal experience and spin on it, you know? Maybe I need to change up the channel intro and something like that. Like, because I know there are some videos I've done the past here and there where I have shared my personal experience, but how much personal experience becomes too much? That's what I'm concerned about. Like, I want to make sure the audience takes something away from my content, but when does it become too much? When it becomes like I'm just talking about myself and that's it? Because, like example, for the sleeping autism video, I could share a couple instances where I woke up with anxiety problems and, like, you know, waking up having to pee and what I do to resolve that. But it's like, what if what works for me doesn't work for someone else? What do I do then, you know? So that's one thing. It's like, is my personal experience really going to help out the person watching the video? Like, when I go look at videos, like, I'm looking for, like, information and answers, and, like, in terms of, like, personal experience, unless I'm really invested in the person in question, I don't really listen too much to the personal stuff. I'm like, okay, what's the information I need? Get to the point, you know? So, I think that's, like, the thing that's probably going to be, like, the big obstacle I tackle this year in terms of, like, how do I make my videos more personal, and how do I advertise that personality to, you know, newcomers, you know? So, it's definitely something I have to think about. Maybe call it autism from an autistic perspective, then give a subcategory. Autism from an autistic perspective. Maybe. Like, I think what I can do is maybe run a poll survey on those, like, who have watched my content, and maybe ask, like, is it too informative? Does it need to be too personal? Or does it, like, the personal part could be, like, its own subsection? The thing is, like, I don't want to be going back to a point where I'm trying to release new videos every single week. Because, like, back when I was doing that, I was, you know, not having enough time for other things, more personal things, if you will, you know? So, how... Let me think. And again, I'm not frustrated. I'm just, like, thinking, you know? A subcategory. Like, maybe I could do YouTube Shorts on that? Or no. Maybe... Man, I really need to think this over. autism from an autistic perspective. I feel like that's a mouthful. Like, maybe there's like a shorter way of doing it. Autism from an autistic perspective. Like, there's gotta be a way to, like, short it down, like, to make it short, sweet, rolls off the tongue and stuff like that. And, like, do I make that subcategory for the live streams, or one thing I could do, and this is another thing I'm going to be experimenting with, is YouTube has the ability to allow you to make reels of previously made content. And basically what that is you make it into a short preview under a minute, where you add captions to it so that viewers can read along, and then you just put at the bottom, like, watch the full video here, and something like that. Like, it is a good suggestion, and it's like, and it's like, not every idea is going to get green lit, or not going to get the green light. It's just like, I need to play around with, like, what can I do? What can I not do? Because, like, I still want to stick with the schedule of, like, a new autism video like every 2 weeks, or like 2 times a month. That way I'm still delivering content, but at the same time I'm also balancing out for other things too. But, like, the subcategory with personal experience, like, how could I do that? Do I make shorts? Do I make Instagram videos or TikTok videos? Like, I think it'd probably be easier if I just, like, scribble it down, run some poll surveys, and, see where it goes from there. And it's like, if sharing my personal stories can help not only, like, give answers to questions, but also, like, maybe inspire people to, work towards something or be better than who they are, then yeah, I'm all for it. It's just the question is, how do I go about doing it? Because, like, I feel like this would be a direction that I haven't really tackled before. And it's like, I'm making a couple changes in my life already. And it's like, change can be scary. And, like, it's something that's, like, out of your regular routine. And, it may work, it may not work. But sometimes if you're stuck in a rut and it's like nothing's really growing, then it comes to a point where, hey, something's got to change. So maybe I do need to add more of a personal spin to it. I just need to figure out, like, how to keep it under the video limit I usually place. And, like, again, make sure it's not all about myself, and make sure viewers are getting answers. So what I could probably do throughout next week is, like, run some surveys, ask people who have watched my channel, and see, like, is it too informative? Because, like, if you're saying it, Sharon Starkey, if you're saying that my videos are, like, too informative and not really personal enough, then that could be an issue, and that could be the reason why, not enough people are watching it, Well, unfortunately, I'm not a parent, so I can't relate. So I'll run the polls and see, like, what could I do to improve my content. Like, starting tomorrow, like, are my videos too informative and not personal enough? And, like, what can I do, to change that? Because I feel like it's making some progress, but it's not enough progress. Like, I feel like in the past year or so that a lot of my newer content has been losing, a lot of the interactivity that some of the older ones had, and, like, maybe it's the personal stories that need to come into play. So, and then the other thing I'll do is, like, I'll take a look at the next topic I want to cover like throughout next week and start working on a script that tells a personal story, but at the same time, gets the point across and gives viewers the answers that they need. So, like, it's definitely something I had to think about. It's not really something I was expecting to think about today, but it's like now that you mention it, maybe a change in direction needs to be made, So, but yeah, I'll think more about it, jot some ideas down, like see what I can do. But in the meantime, we're getting a little past over 30 minutes, but it's like for those that are watching the live stream after it's live, I really want to know what you think. Like, is my content too informative? Is it not personal enough? Like, if you have any feedbacks and suggestions, if you've watched my content in the past, please let me know. Like, I can only improve the content so much without feedback. Like, if I don't know what it is I need to change, then, what's the point of changing it and risking, taking away what viewers actually like, So I think that's what I really need is like people telling me like, well, maybe not, dictating my content, but it's like, some feedback in terms of like, what could I do to make the content better? How do I add my personal mix without sounding too preachy? So I'll take some time to think it over. Because like something does need to change. I just need to figure out how to make that change. So all right, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here for now. So if you watched it live, thank you very much for watching, whether you're commenting now or maybe lurking in the back. Again, if you have any feedback or suggestions, let me know in the comment section below. They always help. And then next week I'm going to try some more personal approach this time. Take what Miss Sharon Starkey said and, share a personal story this time. Because, like, maybe if I do these live streams where I share personal stories, then maybe that will, like, maybe that will help with, like, growing the live streams. Because, like, one of the things I could talk about is, like, the first time that, like, my experience with, one things I could talk about is my experience with the Special Olympics a long, long time ago, something like that. And then, that's something I could talk about. And then another topic I could share with is like how I first handled the move from California to Maryland and how I handled the move from like Maryland to Colorado, So, stuff like that, Like, for personal stories, I'd like to have them on the live streams, have the live streams where I could just share the personal stories all I want, but maybe I need to add the personal stuff to the autism videos. Who knows? So, before I start sounding like a broken record again, we're going to go ahead and end the live stream here. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to give me feedback, I'm all ears. And until the next live stream, see you later.